Hey everybody, this is Chris Isbell with Martin and Associates. Thanks for joining us on this Wednesday afternoon. Um, we are excited to welcome our friends from Velixo. As just a very brief intro, Velixo is a Excel-based reporting solution for Acumatica that delivers custom financial statements, budgeting, and some other pretty neat Acumatica tools. Um, And today we have Jeremy Myers and Anthea Halder with us. And before I um, hand it over to them, just a couple things. One, we're recording this presentation, and if you signed up, we will send you a link if you had signed up at all. It'll also be available on our website in the next couple of days. If you have any questions, just go ahead and use the Zoom chat or the Q&A feature, and we'll be happy to answer those for you. And currently, unless otherwise stated, our friend Jeremy is having a little bit of technical difficulty, but we have Inti here to kind of talk about Felixo and everything. So if anything is delayed, we'll let you know. But now I will hand it over to Inthia, and thanks for joining us.
So hi everybody. We're very happy to be able to put on this webinar today with the Martin and Associates team. We're very excited to show you how powerful of a tool Velixo really is. Your speakers today will be myself and Thea. I'm a customer success manager here at Velixo, and now we'll be having Duffy Cohen join us instead of Jeremy. He is actually our VP of Sales and Customer Success at Velixo, and he'll be going through the demo portion right after this. So just wanted to say a big thank you to everybody who joined us today. Just wanted to mention at the chat portion at the bottom, if you have any questions, we will be monitoring that as well throughout this presentation. So if you have any questions, please do feel free to put them in the chat. So to get started, I do just want to emphasize what Velixo is. So to put it simply, Velixo is a tool that lets you extract all the data that you have in Acumatica and bring it into Excel, and you will be able to push that data back now from Excel back into Acumatica. So we've been around for about 5 years now, and in that short period of time, we have grown to over 1,200 customers. A big reason for this will be our CEO, Gabriel Michaud. He was actually the first retailer partner for Acumatica in Canada. And upon leaving that job, he actually worked for Acumatica for another 5 years in product development. And that is where he came up with the idea for the Excel-based reporting for the Acumatica ecosystem. You'll see on the side here, we have our CTO, Pavel Kabir. He has also done work previously for Acumatica as well. And then we have some of our other colleagues here who has extensive experience in the reporting and ERP side. And because of this, our product is really tailor-made for Acumatica. So a little bit of history, the whole idea of why Velixo was created was because of a customer from Gabriel's previous employment. He reached out to him and asked about his inability to extract data the way that he wanted to, and just being able to manipulate those reports that he was creating. And he wanted to really live within Excel. Having to learn a new ERP system and a whole different structure of reporting seemed like a very daunting task. So Gabriel developed a way you can extract data in real life. Next, I did just want to go through the user friendliness of Velixo. This to me really is the core pillar of our business. So we wanted to keep our product as user friendly as possible. So you will see that the data updates very quickly from Acumatica. And at the end of the day, there really is no learning curve here because it is Excel. Other than that, two things to mention. We do have an unlimited user model, so anybody who needs access to Velixo will have access to Velixo. All you have to do is send them the link. And we also do mirror the same permission rights that individuals have in Acumatica. So let's say one of your team members doesn't have access to a certain budget screen in Acumatica. They still won't be able to access that data within Velixo either. You just have to make sure that those permission rights are set up within Acumatica. And just the last slide here, just wanted to show you some of our happy customers that we're currently working with. Of course, we couldn't include all of our customers here, but just wanted to show you a little screen cap of the customers you'll be in the same boat with. To point out here, Acumatica themselves is actually a customer of ours. They themselves have seen the value in our product. So before we go on to the demo portion, if you have any questions, please do feel free to put it into the chat.
Okay, great. Well, nice to meet everyone. And since there are no questions, nice to meet all of you. Very excited to highlight and showcase Acumatica as a whole. So again, that Excel-based reporting solution that you'll be able to extract all your data from Acumatica and at the same time push your data back from Excel into Acumatica. So that push and pull connectivity. Like Anthony had mentioned, the installation process with Velixo is very quick. So I'm going to show you how quick it is right now. When you start working with us, your organization, so the Martin Associates team would send you off a link and you would go off and download this to your unique device. Anyone who needs access from your organization, you can just forward this off to them and they'll be able to do the same. Again, we have an unlimited user model. So if you're 1-5, everyone here who needs access to Velixo, you don't have to worry about paying more for that. It's included. It's part. We want to make sure everyone who needs access has access. So you'll see just like that, Velixo has already installed. So let's go ahead and launch Excel and let's get started on our first worksheet. While this is loading up, I do want to emphasize that Velixo works with Mac, it works with Excel online, we work with Windows, so in terms of usability, you don't have to worry which device you'll be on. I believe we work up to, we date back as of, was it Windows 2010, so you should be fine if you're 2010 or higher. Seems like Excel is a little bit tired from lunch. Let's give that about a moment or so. All right, so we're going to get started on our first worksheet, and we'll be living within Excel for the major portion of the conversation today. When you download Velixo for that first time, you will receive this Getting Started toolkit. It's going to emphasize some of the core functionalities that you'll have access to, such as drill down, write back, report distribution. We won't need to actually go through all of that because you all have me here today, and I'll be more than happy to highlight all the functionalities associated with Velixo. But once you download Velixo for the first time, you'll see that ribbon up top called Velixo that's going to be installed. Once you'll click on that, you'll see a drop-down of all of the functionalities. So refreshing your data in real time, connecting Acumatica to Excel, drilling down, which is a highly utilized functionality, gives you that flexibility to click on any cell within any one of your spreadsheets and go to that source transaction directly within Acumatica. For anyone here who's looking to send out reports and going through that manual process, you don't have to do that anymore. You'll see there is the opportunity to do one-click automated sends to multiple individuals. Then, of course, our newest functionality, writing your data back into Acumatica. So this is a highly utilized function. So being able to push back your data into any single screen within Acumatica, of course, additional functionalities, and then support. First thing that we'll do today is connect into our Acumatica environment. So I'll simply click on the connection manager and we'll add our connection. And at this point, it's as simple as plugging and playing into the appropriate fields. And I can't emphasize this enough. The exact same credentials that you use to log into Acumatica or would use would be the exact same ones that you use to log in here. You don't need to remember another username, another passcode. I think we have enough as that is. A few other items to highlight. Number one, connection name. Just try to keep that as short as possible. You'll notice as I'm building these reports out that I'm going to be referencing the connection name quite frequently. Remember me, of course, you don't have to fill in the appropriate fields every single time. And then Active Directory SSO, if your team has a more restricted login, you can absolutely fully authenticate with Velixo. Steps are available on our website. Without further ado, let's go ahead and connect into our environment. And for today, we will be connecting into one entity. If you do have multiple entities, so if you're using multiple production URLs, you don't have to worry. You can absolutely connect with Velixo into these multiple URLs. But today, I'm just going to be connecting into one. So you'll see on the right-hand side, a cloud and green indicates we're officially connected. If you do have multiple tenants, you just add another connection at this point here. So with that being said, let's get started on our first spreadsheet, and I will start off with a simple trial balance. And this is really going to highlight the foundation of Velixo. Following this, we're going to dive into a sample pack report where you'll see a lot of the core functionalities we've added in over the last 6 years. So first thing we will look at today is our chart of accounts. You can put in your GL accounts one by one, or you can click that export to Excel button from Acumatica and constantly have to create these reports over and over again. As opposed to doing that, you can simply click on the insert chart of accounts icon. Once you do so, we'll see that connection name populate, insert, then all your GL accounts populate in real time. Now, we've created over 80 dynamic functions. This is just one of those functions. And what this allows you to do is you can build your reports on the fly. You can log out, log back in. Once you do so, it's as simple as clicking refresh all, and all your data is going to update in real time. So anything that's been added, removed, or modified since the last time you logged in will automatically be reflected by the date ranges or parameters that you put in place. Next item we will look for is the account name. So at this point, let's type equals account name. Once I do so, you'll see a dropdown of the appropriate syntax to input. So again, I mentioned to keep that connection name short. You'll see we're referencing it. And then it's asking us for the account. But let's go ahead and take all of our accounts. And you'll see everything populate in real time. Now, in retrieving our account ending balance, I'm going to put a few additional filters in place. So let's put our ledger. We'll put our sub account, and finally the financial period. And we'll look for actuals in the scenario. When we're ready, there's 2 routes you can go in retrieving your ending balance. First one is just like we were looking for the account name, is putting in a formula. But if your team has that understanding or backbone already within Excel, it's as simple as clicking on the insert function icon. And the first thing you'll notice in the category section is that we have added 6 new categories. So generic inquiries, projects, GL, audit functions, list functions, and write back. So let's say your team is going to be using the construction edition with Acumatica. You'll see every single function located here. Same idea for GL, which we're looking at right now. So without further ado, let's click on the account ending balance, and let's plug and play into the appropriate fields. So again, our connection we'll put in. Look for our ledger now. Sub account, we are leaving blank, but you can absolutely consolidate based on sub account, and of course our financial period. At this point, I'm ready to click on OK. Just before I do so, just note where it says help on this function. And this is where you will see all the support documentation that you have available with Velixo. And I can't emphasize this enough. The idea behind Velixo is we want to empower customers to really build out their reports on their own. So you'll see we're on the account ending balance function. Starts off with a description, but we dive into the syntax, the parameters. But we go above and beyond, and you're going to see examples, which will give you a good starting point on how you'll be able to build these reports out on your own. That's just one function. Outside of that, we mentioned that we have over 80 plus functions. All the content can absolutely be found here. So you'll see all the details there. And then lastly, and for a lot of customers, more importantly, we have some sample pack reports that you'll be able to repurpose. So you'll see P&L trial balance worksheet. This is what we'll all be touching on. AR aging, highly utilized, construction sample pack. So this is a good reference point as your team gets started. All right, so let's get back into Excel. Let me just make this report shine a little bit brighter. All right. And there we go. Let's line that up. All right, so we have our actuals. We have our financial period. Let's assume you might want a report of November, not December. It's as simple as changing that financial period. Values update real time. You might want to compare 1 year to the previous year. Same idea applies. Again, it's just changing that financial period. And again, your values are going to update in real time. Now, we're going to go ahead and look for the variance. And this is just to show you, we're just using a hybrid of Velixo functions in addition to the innate functions that you already have in Excel. So it gives you that flexibility to build reports really the way you want to. And again, everything's live. So we found our actuals, but your team might want to look for your actuals and compare that to your budget. No problem. You might have multiple budgets or forecasts. You don't have to worry about that. We extract what's available within Acumatica. So all the data you have in Acumatica, you can bring in. In this scenario, I believe we have some figures related. There we go. We have some budget related figures. Just wanted to emphasize that. And this is where some of those additional functionalities you'll see up top will come into effect. So you might want to hide 0 rows. You might want to hide 0 columns. You can do that with Velixo. That being said, I'm going to dive into the last piece here before we jump into that sample pack report. And this is all about how you group your accounts together. There are 3 different ways on how you would do so. The first one, grouping specific accounts. Let's say we wanted 10-100, 10-200, and then 10-300. It's as simple as putting a semicolon in between these values, copying any one of these cells, any one of those 3 cells that you've chosen, click paste, and you'll see it taking the addition of those accounts. I'm going to switch this over to actuals just so it's a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. Next example we're going to look for, let's look for a range. Let's say we wanted 10-100 all the way to 10-750. Same idea comes into effect. And finally, we have something called wildcards. Wildcards is our most highly utilized option because it allows you to mix and match the accounts you want to group together. But it's the same annotation if you're going to be using, if you're going to be using this for account classes when you want to group things together. Same idea. But let's say we're looking for anything with the leading 1. We'll put 4 question marks after that because we have 5 total digits. And then let's say we don't want 10-200. And just like that, you'll see the values update in real time. So again, this was just a simple trial balance. I highlighted how we were able to connect into the Acumatica environment. We went through a comparative analysis, actuals to budget, actuals to actuals. Again, everything here is in real time. With that being said, I'm now going to dive into this sample pack report I've been referencing quite a few times, and we'll be spending the remaining portion of today's conversation going through the report. And again, this sample pack, it's already available on our website, so you already have access to it. You can repurpose it. It's up to you. What you'll see when we open this sample pack, there are various reports that we've created. So you'll see a P&L, you'll see a trailing P&L. You might want your actuals for the first 3 months, the budget for the next 9 months. Again, you can slice and dice these reports exactly the way you want. We have an income statement, cash flow statement, trial balance, just to show you a few. And again, we're working within Excel. So let's just assume you might want to create, let's just say, a pie chart. And there you go. You have a pie chart, total operating expenses. You might want to toggle between your branches. You can absolutely do so. So let's say we're looking for Service West. You'll see that chart repopulate in real time. So this, again, is just a sample of a report that we've created. As you'll see here, there are multiple branches. If your organization has multiple companies, it would be the exact same idea. It's just the way you want to represent your reports. And I always like to mention, you'll see the account mappings that we use in this scenario. So you'll see the account classes, you'll see the rangings, and how we grouped everything together. But without further ado, I am going to dive into my favorite functionality, which is drill down. What it allows you to do, put simply, is click on any cell within any single one of your spreadsheets and go to that source transaction directly within Acumatica. So you'll see that tied integration that I'm talking about. Let's go ahead and click on drill down in our total operating expenses. And momentarily, you will see a new sheet that will populate. This is going to highlight all the transactions, what account they're coming from, financial period, branches, descriptions, and of course, the balances. But I did emphasize we are connected into Acumatica. So let's go ahead, let's take a look at this line item right here. We want a more granular view, let's just assume. It's as simple as clicking View Transaction. And at that point, you'll see we are going to be redirected into the Acumatica ecosystem. So I believe we'll be in the account details. Yep. And at this point, we see 1 at the Hilton, 201.73. It's as simple as clicking on that reference number, and you will have that original invoice really in a matter of clicks. So really great. A lot of customers love this for reconciliation during their month quarterly ends and yearly ends as well. But you'll see just like that, we have the original invoice populate in real time. So again, drill down, click on any cell. We got right into that original invoice. And then of course you can drill back. So if you click on A15, this is going to show us exactly which cell this came from, the travel category. If I showed a different example, let's say insurance, and we clicked on drill down, this one here, there might be 1 or 2 line items, not that many. There we go, 1 line item. It's a little bit more easier and palatable to see, but the same idea comes into effect. Let's not save that, and let's dive in now into our next tool that I wanted to highlight, and this is called distribution. So right now we're going to go through distribution list. Following that, we'll touch on generic inquiries, how you bring that in, and then we will look at the write back scenarios. So with distribution list, you'll be able to find it right up top where it says new list. This will be the template that populates, and this is an absolute machine in sending out reports. You can, number one, choose the format and how you want to distribute these reports. Excel, PDF, reports can be static or dynamic. You can choose. So, you can send this out to someone who might have access themselves to Acumatica, and they'll be able to drill down on that live report. File name, self-explanatory. Tabs, just based on the below sheets here that you want to send out. Folder path, so if you're saving your reports to OneDrive, SharePoint, or another online medium, don't worry, you can absolutely send it with Velixo. Intended recipients, then let me just scroll to the right-hand side. You can put these reports in the body of an email, but you can take a piece of a report. So if you want to take a line item from a report and send that off in the body of an email, you can do that. Password protect, and then you'll see here a filter. This is just one filter that we created, just to give you an example. So if you recall previously when I went through the P&L, I showed you consolidated and I believe service east. So you can make sure that intended user gets that right report, but you can create your own report when you're sending them out. Now let's assume we're at the point where we are ready to distribute these reports. All we're going to do is click on distribute all. At that point, the reports will be sent out in real time. I'm only sending 7 reports out right now, so it should take about 45 seconds or so. But if you're going to be sending 20, 30, maybe 40 reports, it may take a couple of minutes. And I do want to mention, because this question does come up from time to time, can you automate these report sends? Yes, you can. You just have to set that up in your Windows Task Manager. We actually do that internally on our side for our purposes as well. So it seems like the reports have almost sent. Once they do send, I will show you all an example of what they look like, and then we'll dive into the next piece of the pie. All right, fantastic. So those reports have sent. You'll see here. And as you'll see, I've just pushed them to my drafts. You can send them immediately. But let's assume the first instance here, CFO only wants to see the net sales as a line item, just showing you what is possible. Next example you'll see, again, income consolidated report in the body of an email. And then touching on the last 2 scenarios. Let's say we have an individual who needs to see a report for a given branch. You can do that. We've removed the budget in this scenario. And finally, I'm just going to show you a full consolidated report. You'll see here, we're using conditional formatting. Again, that's just a standard Excel function. And then pie charts, tables, just again, standard Excel. And you can even switch this static image of Acumatica to your organization's logo. Funny enough, you don't even have to have any Velixo formulas in these reports that you're sending out. Again, it's just a vehicle to distribute these reports out. So with that being said, I am going to dive into the next tool, which is called generic inquiry. And I'm hoping everyone here understands GIs already, generic inquiries. Just so you all are aware, it's just a customized screen. And you get about 300 or 400 when you start working with Acumatica, so your team should have some. But if you don't, you can even create customized generic inquiries. And the whole idea behind that, so it might be inventory, it might be commission, anything that you can think of that you create a screen for, you can bring into Excel. So I'm going to take an example. Let's go into our demo environment, and let's take an example of payables. So we'll take bills and adjustments. In this instance here, you'll see the screen below. This is a sample of a GI. You can play around with the below template the way you see fit, but that's not what we're going to do. We're simply going to go up top where it says edit generic inquiry. We're not going to actually edit a thing. I'm just going to copy the inquiry title, and we're just going to bring that back into Excel. So let's go ahead, copy that inquiry title. Let's dive back into Excel. We'll type equals GI for generic inquiry. And just like before, that connection name, an inquiry title, and that's it. Just like that, again, just like I showed with the financial side, your generic inquiry will load in real time. This is a live view. And you can filter through these the way you want. You could have multiple GIs and financial functions, and if your team's using the project module, so project module functions in one given spreadsheet. The idea here is to minimize the amount of sheets you're using and to save your team time. So let's say in our instance, we wanted vendor, status, and then currency. So I'm going to fade that a bit. At this point here, you can take this a step further and then put a filter into that original inquiry. So let's assume for our vendor, we only want to transit. And then for status, we only wanted open. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and create a filter, and then we'll be at the last step in putting that into the inquiry. Equals GI filter. And then just like before, again, we'll put that connection name in. We'll put that inquiry title again. And then all I'm going to do is take the above filters that you see. So vendor V1, status V2. And yes, you can tell that I've done this many times, but it really doesn't take a long time by any means to grasp. Again, you have content on our website, and outside of that, I'm going to show some great support videos, 2-3 minute videos showing you how you can use all the functionalities. So I just went back into our original generic inquiry, and you'll see it indicates exactly where that filter goes. So we'll put B3 right there, click on enter, and then you'll see it's going to show you all the transit vendors with an open status. We didn't do anything related to the currency. You can toggle between these if you'd like. And you'll see closed status pre-populate in real time. And again, everything here is live. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and dive into the last functionality, which is the newest one that we've added into Velixo, which is the ability to write back your data from Excel directly into Acumatica. So if you take a look, it's right up top. You'll see perform write back. Right next to that, you'll see 4 different scenarios: journal transactions, budget forecast, project forecast, and generic write back, which opens up the door for operational writing back. So if we take a look at the first example, journal transaction, you can click on that template and it will populate, and you'll be able to see all the fields that you'll be able to input, and then click on perform write back. So instead of going into Acumatica, typing new journal entry, putting the values in one by one, you can essentially push everything back at the click of a button with Velixo. I have an example, and this example was one of the first ones we created. It was a customer we had probably 2 years ago, and they had a liability insurance. Well, they had a provision on a monthly basis where they had to push their debit and credits amount back, and fairly manual process. They had to calculate the revenue per location, multiplied by the GL rate. After they've done that, they actually have to input this into their ERP, and it was just a time-consuming process. I'm going to show you how this has been automated. We're going to go ahead and modify our GL rate from 3.1 all the way, let's say 3.6. I'm going to click tab in 1 second where you'll see the debit and credits amount update. And at this point, let's assume we want to push these entries back into Acumatica. It's as simple as clicking perform write back. And at that point, all the work is being done behind the scenes. You'll see once I click OK, a new sheet is going to open up, and it's going to highlight the transactions. Just give it a moment. Scroll to the right-hand side. So you'll see here 21,480, 3191, 11,683. Everything here has been pushed back. And just so everyone here is aware, this has not been released. You can remove the hold and then release it directly once you're in Acumatica. So this was the first write back scenario we launched. The second one we launched was budget write back. And if you've used or seen the Acumatica screen for the budget screen, you'll notice that it's very similar the way we created the one here. You'll notice that we've added 2 custom columns in our scenario. Excuse me, these 2, prior actuals and forecast. And let's just assume our COGS has increased by 35%. You'll see all the given periods reflected right away. You can use more of a weighted distribution if you'd like. You can use what-if scenarios. Again, we're just working within Excel. The last thing I do want to mention, this is not essentially a Velixo function. This is really just an innate function with Microsoft that we get to piggyback off of because we're working within this great tool. But you'll have that ability to create a comment for other individuals on your team. So let's say I have Anthea working on a report with me. I want her to review this file. Once we click send, she'll receive a notification. And as long as she has access, she'll be able to go into this file itself. Let's just click on review, show comments, and you'll be able to see who was working on what within which given moment. So it's a great feature that Microsoft added not too long ago. And I do like to highlight that because the power of Velixo is really tied to that power of Excel as well. But let's assume we're officially at the point where we want to push our data back into Acumatica. You'll have the ability to release right away. Most customers prefer to release it once they're in Acumatica. So let's click on no. It's as simple as clicking perform write back. And then at that point, your budget's been pushed back. So let's go ahead, 28,407. Let's just take a look in Acumatica. Let's go into our universal search, type budget release. And there we go. You'll see that I've done this quite a few times, but the same idea, 28,407. 28,407. There we go, almost there. All right. So apples to apples comparison again. So again, that was the budget write back functionality. You can update existing budgets. You can add new budgets. It's at your discretion. The last write back scenario that we'll touch on today is generic write back. And this is the newest functionality in everything we have created with Velixo. And this has opened up the door to be able to push back your data into any import scenario that has already been created. So with Acumatica, you'll have the ability to create customized screens. Once you do so with Velixo, you'll be able to push back into those given screens. So let's take a look. If we look at the drop-down menu where we see our import scenario, you'll see it could be sales prices, it could be vendors, it could be stock items. It's at your discretion of what you want to create. But let's take sales orders as an example, and let's click on create generic write back worksheet. You'll notice momentarily a template that is populating, and this is populated based on the columns that have already been defined within Acumatica. At this point, you can simply fill in the appropriate fields. Then, of course, you'll see the status bar on the right-hand side. But again, when you're ready to push this back, just click on perform write back, and the data will automatically push back to that given screen. Very useful tool. A lot of customers also like using this for bulk imports of a lot of data that they might have to push in. And again, you'll notice here it says pending. If you make a mistake or if something's not correct, it's going to indicate what that mistake is, and it will not push back into Acumatica. Last item before we take some time for some questions that there might be, I want to dive into some of the resources that you all have available. So again, I already highlighted on our Velixo page, you have example reports you can use. Outside of that, there's getting started videos. So a lot of the items I highlighted today are already in the tools that you'll be able to see. So connecting, creating your first report. There's ones on drill down as well. All of our functions, how-to guides, example reports. But finally, we do have various videos that you'll see here. We can skip on the French ones, of course, but sending data in the body of an email, using Velixo for allocations, reconciliations, connecting to multiple tenants. So just a sample of the content that you'll have available. And these videos we've created are really based on the customer requests. If a customer asks us for a video, or if we have enough customers ask us and say, hey, this doesn't make sense to us, we'll create a video just to ease that use and ease that understanding. But with that being said, more than happy to open up the floor to any questions that there might be.
Nice, thanks, Jeff. We really appreciate it. That was good.
Of course,
Let's see.
pleasure.
Yeah. Questions. We do have a couple.
Sure.
One kind of interesting one. Does Velixo work on a Mac?
Yes, it does. So Velixo, we launched Velixo for Mac a couple of years ago, and within the last year, we have bridged the gap completely. So Mac and Windows both work on with Velixo. There's one limitation I just want to make sure that this customer is aware of. You can't use the report distribution on the Mac. Outside of that, everything else is functional.
Awesome. Another one. Can you work in a multi-tenant capacity, as in, you log into your instance, you've got multiple tenants, and you need to do any reporting across tenants in a single instance?
100%. You'll see in this instance here, we just connected to one tenant. Let me just make sure I'm sharing my screen. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Just want to make sure. There we go. So here you'll see on the connection screen, I'm only connected to one instance in this scenario. All you'll have to do is add your second tenant in this scenario. And then once you do so, you'll be able to consolidate for multiple tenants on one given spreadsheet. One of our customers, KFC, they have over 35 tenants and they use Velixo daily.
Okay. That's a lot.
It's a lot.
That is a whole lot.
But KFC is a beast of a company at the end of the day. Oh my God, they have hundreds of locations.
That I can only imagine.
Yeah.
I do have another one just came in. If you wanted to send a AP bill needing approval report using the Velixo distribution, is that possible to do that and have the people not have to have Velixo? Like, could you use Velixo's distribution feature to send an Acumatica type report out?
So they would have to log into Acumatica. I think maybe it'd be best to take this one offline just to understand exactly what they're looking for.
Okay.
Usually with us, we can, these reports are live, they're dynamic. But if there's an action in this report that needs to get, action when they receive it, as long as they have those permission rights that are aligned to their Acumatica account, they should have access to that. But in terms of actually clicking on approved, I'm assuming that would still need to be done within Acumatica.
Yes.
I'd like to further investigate that. That's why I think this one would be better taking offline.
Okay, cool. I appreciate that. Yeah. Let's see. I do have one more.
Sure.
Does Velixo have functionality to incorporate currency exchange rates in order to do consolidated financial statements, obviously with multiple currencies?
100%. Yeah.
Awesome. Much appreciated. Let's see. That is currently all the questions we have. If anyone else has one, please let us know. Otherwise, you're welcome to reach out to us at Martin & Associates, or check out the very, very helpful Velixo website and help area. They have lots of good stuff, and they keep that updated pretty well.
Oh,
Um,
and Chris, I forgot to mention, I don't know if anyone is looking at Velixo seriously, but we are running a Q3 promo. So it's 15% off customers' first year is a quarter Q3 promo. So I'm not sure if Jeremy had mentioned that or not.
awesome. No, I don't think we'd mentioned that yet. So thank you for
Okay,
that. So for
of
those of you
course.
looking, let us know and we can help you with that as well. Awesome. Okay, I think we're good. Man, I really appreciate your time, Anthea and Duffy. That was lovely. And thank you everyone for joining, taking time out of your Wednesday afternoon. Again, if you have any questions, reach out, and also recording will be sent, so you can share this with any other members in your organization if you'd like to. And thank you, everybody.
Fantastic. Thank you all. Take care.